Welcome to video number 3 on KDOT's training topic about the corridor point naming convention, where we continue our discussion about the convention itself. If we scroll a little bit further down into the PDF document, we'll see that the next section discusses each identifier value, what its purpose is, and also lays out the established standard identifier values for each identifier. And this identifier list, the standard values, is certainly growing, and it will continue to grow as use of Open Roads Designer becomes more prevalent in KDOT's project environment. So the first identifier is the surface identifier. That's depicted by the first 3 digits. There are no character limits to these. They can be 1 or 2 digits, or 1 or 2 characters. They can be more, and you'll see examples of that even within the standard. The surface identifier identifies the major surface model type that a corridor point may be associated with or it falls upon. So that is important because our contractors are looking at these, and it's going to help them quickly identify the points that represent or that create the longitudinal break lines. It'll help them identify those longitudinal break lines that are most interesting to them for different types of surface features. So if they're looking for a top surface or if they're looking for a finished earthwork surface, this surface identifier is the piece of information that's going to help them find what they're looking for. And we have in figure 1 a diagram that depicts the different types of surface models that the identifier is working with. We have finished grade, which follows the top of pavement through the roadway subgrade, and it follows top of topsoil outside the roadway subgrade. We have the subgrade surface model, which follows finished earthwork within the roadway subgrade, and it also follows top of topsoil outside the roadway subgrade. So yes, you heard that right. The finished grade and the subgrade surface models would be coincident with each other outside the roadway subgrade. And the third surface model type is the existing ground surface model. So if we look at the standard values for surface identifiers, we'll see that we have a FG, which represents finished grade surface, SG for subgrade, B, that's when a point is both coincident with finished grade and subgrade. So it's actually a break line that's used for both of those surface models. Those are most commonly occurring outside the roadway subgrade on top of the topsoil. If we have existing ground points in our corridor, we have a surface identifier standard value for that. If there's a no surface, those are corridor points that don't follow one of the surface models that we looked at. Certainly within the pavement structure, we have a lot of no surface points. And then finally, we have a do not construct. That would indicate that the corridor point isn't representing proposed work or a proposed work feature. It's a temporary element that we included in the design process to help us find the right locations for the actual features that we're designing. One more important thing to note about the surface identifier is it is a mandatory value. It requires a value for each corridor point that we name. This one cannot go empty. Please continue on to video number 4, where we continue our discussion about the naming convention identifiers, their purpose, and the standard values that have been established.